Namaste everyone. Welcome to Navayumash podcast. Today we will be discussing and reading a very important book. Yeah. So let me just share the screen. This is the book we'll be reading today. So the book is about rearming Hinduism, nature, Hindu phobia, and the return of Indian intelligence by Vamsi Juluri. This is about rearming the intellectual ideas of Hindu civilization. So if you go on our link or on Amazon, you can purchase this book. Let's read more about who is this Vamshi Jaluri, the author. So he has written multiple books till now, and he is currently active, writing so many articles. Yeah, wait a minute. Hello. Yeah, if you can hear me. Yeah. So we were discussing about Vamshi Jurudi, the author. So he has written many books. So the current one we are reading is called Rearming Hinduism. Before this, I think he has written a lot of uh, fiction as well as non-fictions. This book, The Sarvasthiri's Intelligence and Bollywood Nation, becoming a global audience. The mythologist, the firekeepers of Jwalapuram, and he is currently a professor of media studies in the University of San Francisco, and he has finished his education in University of Massachusetts Amherst. Yeah, so let's go into this book. Let me just turn off the screen share, and yeah, I will share the book. So we have bought his book, and I will show sure some. Uh, we will be reading it in a moment. So who is in the comments? Nana is here. Great. So we will be reading this book. We have already the PDF of this book. You can see it clearly. Yes. So we have bought this book. We have it. It is only available in the paperback edition. So I encourage everyone to buy this book from Point Publications. So looking at the cover features the desecrated statue of Lakshmi Narasimha from Hampi, or erstwhile Vijayanagara Empire, which is a misnomer. I think the author will discuss about it later. So, so coming to the title of the book, I find it very interesting when he mentions about rearming Hinduism. For a person who is very naive and who won't understand anything from just a title. It would mean like very, oh, this is about radicalizing Hinduism. No, this is not about that. This is about intellectual rearming of the Hinduism, which we have lost over time, or which we have not been utilizing efficiently. Even if we had the capabilities of it, means for it, we did not utilize it efficiently. Jai Shri Ram, Rishi. So, the nature, Hindu phobia, or Hindu misia, and the return of Indian intelligence by Vamshi Jaluri. So, his cover has a sketch of Narasimha, but I have heard that the desecrated statue that features his on his book that also had Lakshmi on one side. So it was a Lakshmi Narasimha statue. So that's also a symbolism of this intellectual with armed, like, you need to be, yes. For my father, Professor J.V. Ramana Rao, and my mother, Srimati Jamna. So here is a Sanskrit stotra. Agnimay Vachi Shrita Vagdhyay Hridayam Mai Ahamamate Amrutam Brahagi Brahani ईशानि मे मन्यो श्रितः मन्युद्धेयते हृदयं मायि ahamamrite amrutam brahani. I'll zoom it so that we can all read it together. Agni expresses himself in my words. Let my words be inspired from my heart. Let me always be established in the divine who is immortal. Ishana, that means Rudra, expresses himself in me as a righteous anger. May the righteous anger in me be guided by the divine in my heart. Let me always be established in the divine who is immortal. This is quoted from Shri Rudra Prashna Lagusanya, Lagonyasa, Veda Pushpanjali, Volume 2 by Sai Rupak. For some words are born in fire alone. Very interestingly. So let's go through the contents of the book before heading to the preface. So the in the book, the authors wants to talk about in part one, Desha Kala Dosha, the ideologies of Hindu phobia, Sanatana, a Hindu view of God. In these two parts, and ending with the conclusion, Jagadguru. So in first part of the book, he wants to talk about the academic of Maya Sabha. I really fascinate this title of like, if you see the matrix that we usually hear about. Hi Rishi, are you with us? Yeah.
Yes,
So
Dada.
this Maya
So
Sabha,
this
yeah.
Maya Sabha, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, nothing to say much more. I'm actually waiting for you to read the text. It will be amazing.
Uh-huh.
Please see my.
Dada is
Uh,
here.
Dada is
So
here.
yeah,
Oh, so yeah. Right.
yeah. Hello, everyone.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Sorry for the delay.
Sorry.
Yes.
yeah, we were
So,
just discussing about the title of the book, and we were just
mhm,
going through the index of the book and
mhm.
what has the author is like, what are the previous works of the author, and what
Yes,
the author wants to talk about in this book. We have not yet gone through the preface of the book. Yeah, I think you have the
yes,
book in front of you. Can you show that to our audience?
yes.
Let me
And
just highlight you.
apologies. Yeah, apologies for this delay. There was some important issue we had to take care, so it was a delay. So this is the book. I think it's a very interesting and very timely book. And if you can see, there is a famous quote here. So, and this is very interesting. This So this is something I love this about the book. So the Hindu symbolism that is there in the book in multiple ways is actually quite interesting and quite to read about it. And why don't we go? Yeah, we have Rishi here, correct? Rishi,
Yes, yes,
okay. You let me just upload. Okay, let me just add
yes,
it there. I think it is. Yeah, you need to put it on stage. Yeah, yeah. Let's go to the preface where we have the Sanskrit text. Yeah,
yes.
that one. Correct. So let's
We
start
cannot
with.
see it, right?
Let
Can you
me
just scroll it
actually.
down? Oh, I think this is okay. That's your screen. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Let me open my screen. I will do it. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me just turn on the fan. Actually, it is getting hot.
Uh, Rishi, can you see this?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Can you read it out loud?
Yeah. Okay. Let me just get it. Okay. So Rishi, could you just read this one for us? Read the Hindi, actually Sanskrit text. Sorry.
Okay, okay, I'll try my best. Uh, अग्निमे वाचि श्रितः वागधृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि ईशानो मे मन्यौ श्रितः मन्युर्हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि.
Yeah, and just scroll down. We have the English meaning. So we'll just actually go through the meaning. So it's very important to actually understand the initial of the book. So what it stands for, and what does it mean by rearming Hinduism?
So, shall I be reading this?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Read it. Rest. I
Agni.
will read it.
Okay, okay, fine. Agni expresses himself in my words. Let my words be inspired from my heart. Let me always be established in the divine who is immortal. Ishana, Rudra, expresses himself in me as righteous anger. May the righteous anger in me be guided by the divine in my heart. Let me always be established in the divine who is immortal.
Yes.
Shri Rudra Prashna Laghunyasah Veda Pushpanjali, Volume 2.
Yeah. So this is the one of the mottos of the book. The way the author has we get inspired by this. So we will be reading the quote from the author in just a few minutes. I'm just preparing the PDF from my end. So Nandi, you can actually unmount yours. I'll share
Okay,
my
I have
PDF.
removed.
Yeah, let me
Yeah,
just do it from my end. It will be easy for to actually go through and read it.
yeah.
By the way, for the context, for all audiences even, so Manyu is the word used in the mantras which I read before. So that mantra actually,
Mm-hmm.
Manyu, that word actually comes in Rig Veda. Manyu, Manyu Sukta is one
Mm-hmm.
of the suktas even in Rig Veda. It's amazing to see
I have
this.
one. Yeah, yeah. I have one input or a criticism. Like the author is including only Narasimha in the symbolism of the see on the second page. Like that same as the when Hampi was attacked, the Lakshmi was also destroyed. So without the Lakshmi, even war or intellectual war, that cannot be done. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes, but that Lakshmi was actually removed, correct? That was
Yes.
destroyed.
That's why what we are fighting for to put Lakshmi
Hmm,
back in her position.
exactly. Okay, so we will now be actually reading the book. So let me actually first go through the Amazon and actually see where you can get the book. Before we start reading, let's just check how where you can get this book. This is a very important book. So I think we all should be actually reading and Yeah, let's go to the directly to the publisher. So rearming. Let me. Okay, here it is. So I think it is now sharing. So rearming Hinduism, nature, Hinduphobia, and return of Indian intelligence by Vamsi Juluri. It's in English paperback, so it is available in Amazon. You can it is published in 2024. So Amazon you can get it, and this is actually a Blue One Ink website where you get all the details about the author. So Nandi, did we talk about author's background, like,
We
or
just
we
talked
need to just?
about him being the professor in the
Hmm,
university. Like
yes,
he's an academic
yes,
who is currently residing in the US. Yeah,
yeah.
that's what we
So
talked about.
yeah, actually, so the whole the details are actually available in the Blue One Ink website itself. So here you can see his details. Here you can see. Uh, so you also have the author's page, and you also have the endorsements. Let's go to the endorsements. Okay. So demands and deserves attention. This is Zia Salim, the Hindu, and we also have the articles related to this. So we also have, this is author's page. Okay. So the author is available. You can reach out to him on Instagram, on Twitter, and on the Facebook. So anybody who wants to ask him questions about the book, the reading that we are doing, just go ahead. And I would suggest everybody to actually go ahead and buy the book, because this is the way to actually make sure that the author, he knows that his work has been appreciated, and so that
Uh,
they can write more books for us.
Author has also other books. I think it's not from this publication, hence it's not showing. But he has
Yes,
written many
yes.
other books, including
No,
fiction
actually,
and non-fiction. Yeah.
exactly. So the author has written fiction as well as non-fiction books.
Hmm.
So, and also he wrote a lot of articles. Actually, someday we will be also reading the article as well. So this is
Yes,
the
yes.
link. Let me just post the link in the chat itself for everybody.
Hmm.
And we also have shared the link in our Twitter post, so you can also get there and do it. So here we have, so we have the books link is here, so people can buy it. Now we will go ahead and start reading the book. It's a very interesting book. Uh, Before reading, I will just check the fonts, because the fonts are a little bit small. So this is the way the book starts. Okay, so we will read a few pages uh, about the author's introduction, and then we will talk about it, and we will also take questions from the audience a little bit later. We have, this is already done. This is author's inspiration for the book. Okay, so let me do one thing. Okay, so how do you, people who are in the chat and people also in the stream right now, what do you think the naming of these chapters that he has given? Is it something which is unique that you have seen, or is this quite normal for the authors to do that? So I was actually intrigued by the way it was, the way they are being structured. Yeah, Nandi.
I would consider it as a clickbaiting.
Okay, why do you think it's a clickbait?
Because when you talk about rearming, mind usually, like for a normal person, it always goes towards radicalization and militarization and
Mm-hmm.
current narrative that's going on about
Mm-hmm.
yeah, demonification of Hindu political ideologies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So okay, so
Yeah,
in that
I would think
context,
otherwise if the yeah. So I would yeah, but still, it's a very catchy title, and it would make you pick up the book.
okay, so let's see. Let's see if the chapters naming is clickbait or this is something really exciting for us to read. So let's scroll down. Let's do. So we will be reading the foreword, okay, and then we are going to read this the whole book completely. Most probably every week we will do one chapter, or if we can, it's possible to do that, depending on the chapter's length. Okay. So here is the preface to the updated edition from Mama. Okay. Do let me know if the text are visible so that you can actually follow with me. Audience, do let me know if you are able to read the text so that I'll proceed.
250% is enough. Yes, that's good.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead. Preface to the updated edition from Mama Dehi. Okay,
It's
forgive me for
Mamadehi
the
Karavalambam.
to Jai Shri Ram, reflecting on rearming Hinduism's journey from 2014 to 2024. It means there was a one more edition prior to this, which I did not know about it. So let's do. 10 years ago, I wrote a book inspired by the sight of a great and mighty god left out in the sun, dust, and the rain in Hampi for nearly 450 years. That book was titled Rearming Hinduism, a new edition of which you now hold in your hands. So this is the second edition of the book. The first edition was published in 2014. And strangely enough, it was just the sight of that great deity. So the author is talking about this specific deity. This specific
So
deity.
if I, yeah, so
Yeah, go ahead.
exactly about this deity, there is the first sentence is from Sri Lakshmi Narasimha Karavalambam Stotram, prayer to Lord Narasimha and Lakshmi. The phrase translates to "Please take me in your hands and protect me." To Jai Shri Ram.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And strangely enough, it wasn't just the sight of that great deity towering over the broken walls of the enclosure that inspired the title of this book, but especially that of his missing right hand. My whole life, I had seen gods in temples or in my parents' puja room. Here, the gods were always Okay, the gods were always intact, healthy, represent resplendent, and smiling. But sometimes also saw gods in museums or in open lands, often described as historical sites or ruins. Most of the time, as was the case when I visited Qutub Minar as a child, I did not even notice the gods staring down, half erased from their from some old half broken temple column, or when I did notice them, as was the case when we visited museums, they were presented in a different context as sculptures rather than as how we normally knew them. That was that, and this was this. So the author is talking about. I think Nandi will give you a better explanation of this. But let me just try my best. So author is talking about for us, the Hindus, the Sanatanis, God is not a sculpture. Okay? God is a living being who live with us. So that's why when we do puja, we offer food, we offer flowers to the gods, because gods are not some stone sculpture or a metal sculpture or golden statues. They are living beings whom we worship. And we think, see, when we see pran pratishtha, so when we do the consecration of the temple, okay, that the living deity there gets consecrated and they become living beings. Yeah, Nandi, would you like to
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
So it need not be only statues, as you said. There
hmm.
are other entities like a kumbh, like for example, a little kumbh on without a coconut on top can be used for the same purpose as a statue in pujas. So it's
Yeah.
all about like, yeah,
Yeah, so I just
symbolism.
want to
Oh,
one
yeah.
question I want to have, because really you are from the southern India, okay, and
Hmm.
so this have this deity being part of the family. So you have a family deity, you have a
Yeah, yeah.
like Griha Devata,
So
Gram
it's
Devata.
called Kul Devata of a family. So you will have a Kul Devata for all of your clan and your family will worship. Every family will have one, like from their ancestors' time. Like even if you don't have one, you'll consult someone who are like, which might be my family's Kuldevta. Then if you don't know anyone, like anything, you can consult them and like even if it's not the case, if you believe in something and you can worship, you can also change your Kuldevta. There's no restrictions on it. But usually a family will have a Kuldevta where for since generations the family will be taking pilgrimages and for any special occasions we'll be going to a certain deity to
Yes.
pray.
So this, so actually, for people who are listening to new or maybe from North India or East India, young people, so this relationship between the Kul Devta, so they are like part of your family. Okay, so they are not something which is alien, just a statue or just a murti. So this concept of having a relationship with the Kul Devta, okay, and taking care of them, cleaning them, washing them, doing shringar to them. So this concept, this relationship between with the deity and the worshipper is something which is actually unique to us as Hindus. And a lot of places this is actually now gone, because there is no Kul Devta, there is no Gram Devta, okay, there is no Lok Devta. So the author, because he grew up in the 50s India, okay, or maybe earlier. So actually, this culture still persisted. So when the author is talking about the pain and bit of sadness that the those murtis of the devtas are broken, they are just considered as a kind of artifact, rather than something which is a living being of gods, of devtas, is something which pains the author. So that's why the author is saying this, like reflecting the pain which he's feeling. So I wanted to understand, for the audience to actually understand why the author is feeling like that for a ancient murti sitting in the museum. What's it about? Why he is
so
feeling so bad about it?
so here's the same thing from a book that I have recently read. It's from
Mm-hmm.
Avarna by S.L. Bhairappa. You can also find it in English translation. He talks about this thing. So whenever two villages, even if they have some fight and like even if it's a medieval war, the war is with the people of the village, opposing village, not their deity. If they come in front of the village deity, they'll pray to it for victory. Then go on to the war. So I can get the point of view of the author. The author
Mm-hmm.
is from I think from Andhra Pradesh uh, originally. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah, okay. So we will just read. And strangely enough, it wasn't just the sight that the great deity towering over the broken walls of the enclosure that inspired the title of this book, but specially that of his missing right hand. My whole life I had seen gods in temples or in my parents' puja room. Here, the gods were always intact, healthy, resplendent, and smiling. But sometimes I also saw I also saw gods in museums or in open lands, often described as historical sites or ruins, most of the time as was the case when I visited Qutub Minar as a child. I did not even notice the gods staring down, half erased from half erased from some old half broken temple column. Or when I did notice them, as was the case when we visited museums, they were presented in a different context, as sculptures rather than as how we normally knew them. That was that that was this and this was this. Or I thought until a certain point in life in Hampi, it struck me. This great stone sculpture of Narasimha wasn't meant to be glanced at and just put behind us like some background to a selfie. This was a god. He was a god meant to be adored and adorned the same way as Balaji in Tirumala or any other great deity of Bharat. For that was for that was what this moment that was what this moment was. It was a temple once. Inside Narasimha and Lakshmi sat, resplendent in jewels and flowers, and smiled like loving parents at generations of Vijayanagar children who came to worship them and received their prasad day after day. Yet he stood now only as a fragment of his once complete and glorious self. His right arm was chopped off, so were parts of his limbs, and most egregiously, so was his consort, our mother, goddess Lakshmi, who once rested on his left thigh. Only her hand remained. God without a right hand, and a and the right hand of a goddess. Still, he kept smiling. But what was the nature of that smile? Were there times during childhood when you saw their father smile at some mysterious grown up thing beyond your understanding and you couldn't understand what it meant? Maybe. And then when I began writing Rearming Hinduism, I used to think that Narasimha's expression was actually one of precise and righteous anger, the kind that you feel when you are down and almost defeated, but then something gets ignited in you and makes you stand up to fight again. It was in that kind of mood that I wrote Rearming Hinduism, all in a few days in the early 2014, furious about so many things, but about one thing most of all, the collapse of truth in our lives. As media professor, I could see the brazen discretion of truth, resurrection of truth, and decency every day in the media's stories about us, lies about our gods, lies about our ancestors, lies about even what our children in American schools were going through. This is very important paragraph, which actually should tell us what's happening and what has been happening for maybe hundreds of years. Uh, that there are so many lies are being said about us in the media, specifically on the books, on the journals, on the newspapers, on the news panels, on television, and that really made the author sit back and take notice. And the fury was also about realizing what happened whenever we tried to correct those lies in good faith and with humility, with Satya and Ahimsa as our ideals, and Gandhi is our icon. In the end, nothing changed. It was like we were speaking without a voice and a tongue. At least in America, where I lived, worked, and where thousands of small Hindu children and their parents were facing increasing insanity in their schools over who they were. It felt like pen, we had no pen. Actually, no hand even, to write our claim to truth with. No media, no universities, no celebrities or CEOs of Indian origin were even there to speak for us or the truth of our pain, anger, and outrage at the lies and hate being thrown at us. And unarmed people surrounded, despite their good jobs and homes, with a deep culturally with a deep culturally genocidal impulse and the psychopolitical machinery to execute it. Schools, colleges, medias, politicians, thugs, terrorists, and unarmed people, and an amputated god. In Vijayanagara, or the city of victory, once the largest city in the world, but now abandoned and in ruins. In Hampi, which also happens to be the birthplace of my mother, Jamuna, the celebrated star, the celebrated star of almost 200 movies in Telugu, Kannada, Tamil, Hindi, and a former member of parliament. My Amma, who adored the gods, died last year before this new edition came out. In Kishkinda, the land of Hanuman, from a time so ancient even history can barely fathom its wonder. The land that my father, Professor J.V. Ramana Rao, a zoologist and wildlife conservationist, told me stories about. My father died in 2014, just before the first edition of this book was published. But this book, inspired by the sight of a great Narasimha with a missing right hand, has a story that is all too human and nothing but divine about it. If you are a new reader picking this book up for the first time, thank you. Let me fill you in with a little more detail in this updated preface. If you have the older edition and have picked up this again to see what is new, or perhaps to gift it to new readers or a new generation, thank you doubly. But here is the story to hand it over with. One edition to another, one decade to another. In 2015, when the print edition of Rearming Hinduism was published, I signed hundreds of copies for readers with a line from the book. It is not my line, actually, but one written by Adi Shankara himself. It is a prayer to Lord Narasimha. It said, Mama Dehi uh, Karavalam, grant us the shelter of your hands. Okay,
Now, if
Karavalam.
I may read it for you,
Yeah, please go ahead. Actually,
it's
the last one, hmm,
yeah, Mamadehi Karavalambam.
Karavalambam. Thank you. But
Yeah,
in the years that have passed, and as if to emphasize things I have learned since, there was one implicit theme in the book that has become important to how I understand the world and the role of social sciences, which I teach today, that of intergenerational continuity. That concern was summed up so precisely in a message that one reader wrote to me. She said, I finally understood exactly what my parents were always trying to tell me, but somehow never could find the words for. I have neither met her parents nor her, but somehow these words, my words, I am tempted to pride myself about, but then realize that high of such a high is temporary and egoistic. The words that were and still are encased in rearming Hinduism have somehow built a bridge across time, over generations, over lives, over lives lived together or apart in very different and rapidly changing times. That was what communication is. It is not. We adults forget the building blocks of it because we have a vocabulary and know some grammar. So we use words flippantly, flippantly. at the flick of a switch with our smartphones and incredible internet technology. But then each word, each sound, or each feeling has stood in time somewhere just as our gods have endured desecration and storms, calling us, teaching us, reminding us of our duty. That duty for me was summarized in the prayer Mamahidehi Karavalambam once. Back then, I yearned for and begged Narasimha for his protection. These are our gods, and we get to do that without any shame, fear. And now, before we know it, here we are in 2024 with a new edition and a new moment. And of course, with a new proclamation, which has filled our lives with joy, energy, and newness this year. Jai Shri Ram. On 22nd January 2024, I woke up to the cries of Jai Shri Ram on the television. Outside my window, in the distance, I could see the hillside temple of goddess Durga standing by the side of the mighty river Krishna. I was in Vijayawada, another city of victory. I had spent the last few days visiting my mother's childhood home, schools, friends, and temples nearby. Everywhere, in every tiny village, farm, and roadside tea stall, the saffron flags fluttered. Rama or Hanuman adorned the flags. Everywhere, people expressed pride, joy, and strength, whether they were in jeeps or on tractors and bullock carts or barefoot walking. Ayodhya may have been geographically far away from those tiny villages in southern India, but nobody, not one Hindu, and as I read later, many non Indian, indigenous, and self described pagans as well felt a shred of distance that day. How on earth, I wonder, did some deluded or malevolent politician and op-ed writers even presume to pontificate that South India was somehow ignorant of Rama? All morning we watched the exuberance of people on TV and on social media. Friends as far away in California and Australia posted videos of the celebrations. Car rallies were being held over the Golden Gate Bridge. People came out in huge numbers to celebrate at Times Square. And around noon, from the epicenter of that great, gritty, grindingly slow and hard fought and never surrendered restoration, the Prana Pratishtha happened. We jumped around and hugged. I had I had to admit that back in 1980s, when I was in my 20s, and the movement to reclaim the temple and the movement to reclaim the temple from under the imperial mosque began, I would never have imagined that I would see this day, or that I would be jumping up and down in joy about it. We do not see things in our 20s that we do when we are older. And I believe it is our duty when we are older to also remember that about our younger generations too. From Vijayawada, in that intense noontime global celebration, we became part of Ayodhya. Then we drove to various villages where friends and elders had grown up long ago to record greetings or make video calls to them on WhatsApp. And everywhere we went, the signs of celebrations were evident. We spent all day in one of the richest cultural heartlands of Telugu speaking world. Finally, around sunset, we returned and drove along a small road right next to the river Krishna to reach the temple I had really wanted to be wanted to be in on that historic day. I wanted to visit the Srikakula Andhra Mahavishnu temple for two reasons. From 2020 to 2022, throughout those strange, uncertain, and isolated years of pandemic and lockdown, my mother and I used to speak on the phone every day. Stuck in our own homes across two continents, there were only stories to exchange. My mother, with the long and illustrious career in cinema and politics, had lots of them to share. One such story she told me was about the Andhra Mahavishnu temple. My mother's association with that temple was not only as a devotee but also as an artist. She had acted along with the great N.T. Ramarao in a historic adventure movie called Srikakula Andhra Mahavishnu Katha. The second reason for wanting to visit the temple was a literary one. It is mentioned in the Vijayanagara Emperor Sri Krishna Devaraya's classic poem. Nandi, could you just pronounce it?
huh. Amukta Malyada.
Mukta Malyada. Thank you. So the story goes that Sri Krishna Devaraya went on a pilgrimage to the temple and, finding it closed for the night, camped and slept on a tent outside. There he received a dream in which the deity appeared and instructed him to write the classical Telugu literature masterpiece, which is revered to this day. Throughout pandemic years, I longed to visit this temple someday. Finally, when it happened, it was on the Ayodhya Restoration Day. At first, the temple seemed quiet and empty in the darkness. Only the Archaka was there. So, Nandi, Archaka means correct? Purohit, would that be correct?
Uh-huh,
Or
the
that,
one
or
who performs the
no, no,
puja.
okay, yeah, that's called Purohit in North India, or the priest. So,
Uh-huh. The literally the word means archane, the person who does archane. Archana
okay,
means
okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yes, yes, yeah, 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 yeah. Arpan, okay, I understand.
yeah.
Who does the puja? Thank you. Was there, and he gave us the arthi and shared a bit of ancient history of the temple. This Srikakulam, this Srikakulam, he said, was the capital of possibly the oldest Andhra Empire. I took the liberty of asking if he remembered my mother. He was delighted and told us that she had, in fact, visited 3 times over the course of many decades. We felt happy and comforted as if her presence was still here, guiding us on our pilgrimage. We saw some diyas, deepams, being arranged in the courtyard by a couple of ladies from the nearby village and stayed back to help. Then slowly the volunteers turned into a trickle and then a small river. The whole community poured out from their homes and another nearby temple to join in a Diya Puja ceremony. After that, we after all lit the lamps and sang bhajans of Ram and Hanuman. Every now and then, like a cry from an ancient time held in the secrecy by dark silence over the river, Jai Sri Ram rose from our throats. Since that unforgettable night, I have had the anugraham. Okay, anugraham, Nandi. What is mean anugraham?
Like that blessings, like blessing of that time. Like, yeah, have the good
Okay, okay,
fortune, like he
okay,
explains.
okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. I have had the anugraham, the good fortune, to be seen by deities of so many incredible temples across southern India. From Vijayawada, we went to Vishakhapatnam, where in a surprising moment we found Lord Narasimha of uh, Simhachala standing not in his usual saffron oval covered mount but in full golden armored lion human form. We went to Sri Kumaran near Srikakulam, where Vishnu is worshipped in the form of his turtle avatar. So, for people who may not be familiar, so we have the Kumbh Mela happening now, Kumbh. So in the Kumbh, so the Kumbh is associated with the Samudra Manthan. So in the Samudra Manthan, the tortoise was the base on which the Manthan was done, where we get the Amrit and other things which are there. So just to give a context, we start talking about that yeah, golden armored lion human form. We went to Sri Kumaran near Srikakulam, where Vishnu is worshipped in the form of his turtle avatar. So this is the Vishnu. We have 10 Vishnu avatars. So one of the avatar is the Vishnu is avatar is of turtle. We say Kachua in Hindi. What do you say turtle in Kannada or Telugu, Nandi?
I think Ama or Ame. I think it's similar.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
The Archaka. Okay. We have somebody. Okay.
I think
Okay.
Rishi
So we have
joined us. Yeah.
Namaskar, Rishi.
Namaste, namaste. I went
Dada, I have a
Dada, I have a
image of the
Hmm.
image of
Simachalam.
the Sima.
Please
Let
go
me
ahead.
just
Please go
share
ahead.
it on the chat. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I have shared the link. You can just
I can.
show
I
it
will open
for
it.
the discussion.
I'll open it. Not
I'll open. By the way, till the
just.
time Nandita shows the image, I just wanted to ask, did the author, like in his course of visits, did he visit Ahobil, like till now, that has that come, or is it only Srikakulam and Vijayawada only?
I think he has been to only
I
three
think he has
temples
been
till
to
now.
only 3 temples till now.
Up to now. I
Up
think
to
we'll be
now.
reading more.
I think we'll be reading more. Okay, okay. Amazing.
Yeah. Let me. I'm just opening this page. Okay. So let me share this. So this is
Scroll down a
this is
little bit.
here it is.
A
Oh,
little more. The one thing that went above.
yeah.
That's
This one.
yeah. That's the one the author is talking about.
Okay, the hill temple in Simachalam can be seen as one approaches Visakhapatnam from Vizagaram by train. Simachalam, the hill of the lion, is located at a distance of 18 kilometers from Visakhapatnam. So this is the Vigraha, correct?
This is the
I
Vigraha, and this is the cover. The he's talking about the golden armor.
exactly. Thank you,
This
Nandi,
is
for this
how
information. I think
Narsimha in Hampi would look like if he was. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, let me share the screen again. We went to Sri Kumaran near Srikakulam, where Vishnu is worshipped in the form of. Okay. The Archaka told me an astounding story about my mother that his elders had told him. Many years ago, my mother had visited and donated a grand chariot for the deity. There is virtually no other temple I have seen that is as serene, beautiful, old, and quietly preserved as this is. May it stay that way. And since the story of this book began in Hampi, strangely enough, the days leading up to this new and updated edition also began to unfold in Hampi. In February 2024, I had the opportunity to perform my mother's first annual ceremony in Anegundi. Anegundi, actually, I have been to the place. Okay. A short
Mm-hmm.
walk.
Dada, a little segue.
Yes.
That Sri Kurmam
Sri
Devasthanam
Kumaran.
also
Sri Kumaran.
has live turtles that are rare turtles that are star shaped on its back.
Oh,
They help it
do we
conserve
find it
the
here?
turtles.
Okay. Do
I
we
can
have the
send
any
you the
pictures of it?
image.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
No.
send you
Okay.
the
Can you send me the
image.
link of it? The where the temple is. So I think they might have the better pictures.
Uh-huh. I've sent you the image of the, yeah,
Let me just
it's
check it.
yeah,
Let me just open it.
yeah, it's in historic Kalinga region.
Oh, okay. Let me just see. Okay, so let me increase it. So file, the 11th century Kumaranatha Swami Temple, Sri Kumaran
Kurmanath,
Prapadesh.
Kurmanath, Kurmanath,
Kurmanatha,
some,
yeah. 11th century
yeah, Kurma
Kurmanatha.
means
So,
the turtle. Yeah.
Kurma means turtle, correct, is in Telugu language, Kurmanatha,
No, it's
or
Sanskrit.
it is
Kurmavatara.
okay, understood. So this
Yeah.
is the star-shaped turtle that Nandi is talking about. So this is a rare
Yeah. They
turtle
help
species.
conserve the turtle that, yeah, because
Hmm.
it's rare and it's being, at risk and an endangered species.
And too many people talk about what is the value of having a temple.
Mhm.
Anyway, we'll, in February 20, okay,
Can
actually,
you share
sorry.
the, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I had forgotten that. In February 2024, I had the opportunity to perform my mother's first annual ceremony in Anegundi, a short walk from the river Tungabhadra, and the very sacred boulder flanked island called uh, Nava Vrindavana. Okay, New
Mm-hmm.
Vrindavan. So we also have a Vrindavan
Mm-hmm.
in South. Hmm, that's interesting. My mother was born nearly 90 years ago on the other side of the river. I had the privilege of chanting her name, those of my uh, matrus. Okay, matru means mother, correct? Matru means mother.
And
Matrus
all
in
the
that.
mothers are like, in his
Okay,
lineage, all the mothers
okay,
of his, I think.
understood. Okay, so matrus
Yeah.
in that holy, beautiful land. Soon after, I had the joy of seeing my old friend, my father of fathers, my muse, my king. Reason The reason to be your author and your companion through these words in your book, Hampi Narasimha himself. So the author considers the Narasimha as his father, his friend, his everything. So that's what I was talking about previously. The
Mm-hmm.
relationship with the relationship with a Hindu has with his Gram Devata, with his Kul Devata, with his Lok Devata, is something which is cannot be comprehended by people who have not experienced or witnessed this uh, with their own eyes. That what kind of relationship it does have, and it has been there for thousands of years. There we have seen the stories where in Bangladesh in 1947, in 1971, the Hindus of Bangladesh took their Kul Devta, took their Griha Devta's Murti, and came to West Bengal, India, because that Kul Devta was not, that Griha Devta was not a piece of stone. That was part of their family. It had to be protected at all costs. So this is the kind of devotion, emotion that we have with our Kul Devtas, which is very difficult to actually explain to the new generations, okay, who have been taught in secular schools where Murti is just a piece of wood, a piece of metal, or a piece of any other material which is made from. But this was not the case to millions and millions of Indians over centuries and thousands of years. I do not know yet what names of God, what words, what energies and good wishes and sankalpam will come through this book for you and for me. But it is a joyous enough that after a hiatus since its discontinuation by its previous publisher, Blue One Ink has taken has taken the task of republishing it with a new preface this historic year. Historic year means to 2024 when the Ram Janmabhoomi consecration of the Pran Pratishtha took place. But I hope this book will inform and inspire you to seek out the idea of rearming Hinduism and remind you of what your elders sought to sought to show you or what you hope to show your children. There is joy, hope, and yes, there is loss and longing too. The older book had my father's name on the dedication page. This one has my mother's also. That is life, friends. But the gods are with us, aren't they? One day they make us remember our parents who are gone and move us to plead, protect us with your hands. And another, they make us dance like a hurricane force Hanuman celebrating Ram's return as if our ancestors and gods are always with us too. With that spirit of time, change, and constancy in mind, let me guide you briefly to what you will see in the coming chapters. This book was written in April. This book was written in April 2024, 2014, and published shortly thereafter. It followed the publication of my it followed the publication of my review essay, Hinduism and its culture wars. Someday we will read this as well essay, which offered a careful critique of what had been the dominant position in debates about secularism and Hindutva in the West. From that position, I felt the need to talk at length in Rearming Hinduism about a term that independent Hindu scholars and activists were using to describe similar concerns, which is the idea of Hinduphobia. At that time, scholars such as Professor Jeffrey Long were attributing the popularization of the term Hinduphobia to the London-based grassroots activist group Hindu Human Rights (HHR) UK and to the US-based author and renowned Hindu revivalist Rajiv Malhotra. Since then, the history of the term Hinduphobia has been further explored by HHR Australia founder and researcher Sarah Gates. Contrary to the claim made by some South Asia Studies academicians and activists, in the of controversial wake of the controversial dismantling global Hindutva conference held on 11th September 2021, the term Hinduphobia is not an imitation of the more recent notion of Islamophobia, but a word that goes back to at least 1866. It was used on multiple occasions in the late 1800s and early 1900s by British and Indian writers, including Sardar Patel, to describe the anti-Hindu prejudice of both Christian Europeans and Islamic imperialists in South Asia. The history of this concept and the unfortunate phenomena it seeks to represent remain relevant to this new edition of the book as well. And you will find more about Hinduphobia in the afterword at the end of this edition. My understanding of Hinduphobia at the time of the first edition was mostly within the confines of my own training as a student of critical cultural and post-colonial studies. I saw Hinduphobia then perhaps as a mere subset of media representation theories like Edward Said's Orientalism. It was an academician's attempt at reasonably arguing with the literature and calling on fellow academics to treat anti-Hindu hatred with as such as much seriousness as they did when talking about the other formerly colonized people. I recognize now that the academic paradigms I was trained in, such as post colonial studies and critical cultural studies, also have serious epistemological and, let's just say, geopolitical limitations. The story of Hindu colonization, resistance, survival, and revival cannot be subsumed in Edward Said's story or anyone else. In the first half of this book, you will find a discussion on Hindu phobia centered on Professor Wendy Doniger's book, Hindus: An Alternative History as a Case Study. While the controversy around that, that title may not be in the news now as much as it was in the 2014, the problem implied in calling her position an alternative remain. The implications have, frankly, grown even worse now for Hindus as powerful forces in academia and beyond recklessly divide human beings into absolute categories as oppressors, Brahmins, Savarna, and even Hindus, who deserve no human rights, and decolonizers, Hamas, elite, or Al Qaeda, whose method of decolonization and claims to subaltern status are both highly debatable. Since the time I wrote Rearming Hinduism, I also have become more aware of the literature on Hindu resistance as well as important critiques of Western social science paradigms by a small number of fellow scholars writing about Indian traditions and cultures. It is quite indicative of the state of academia, perhaps, that the seminal writings of Ram Sarup and Sitaram Goel and the Voice of India Publishing House were seldom mentioned in the whole Hindutva debate when I was a student, and it was only by looking beyond the walls of Ivory Tower that I could appreciate what had been kept out and what had to be brought in for academia to do its job with the honor and integrity. I am also grateful to Jacob D. Roover for the careful critique of rearming Hinduism and my subsequent introduction to the work of S.N. S.N. Bala Gandhara and his brilliant pupils, including Prakash Shah and M.S. Tetra. Neither Hinduism nor Hinduphobia occur within their framework, but these are all ideas and debates that seem to work wonders in the dispelling ignorance and welcoming insight, notwithstanding differences in intellectual positions. I must also express my gratitude to Venkat Dhulipala for his monumental study, Creating a New Medina. This book we need to read, Creating New Medina, which is essential reading for anyone who wishes to understand Hindu phobia. Beyond the European model, it must be noted here that current American Hindu phobia, especially of the sort normalized in universities and school children's textbooks, draw on my themes and troops that dominated the campaign for Pakistan in 1940s as documented by Dhulipala. We must read this book. Along with my limitations in terms of truly alternative literature, one that was so true for the academic establishment to acknowledge or expose its students to naturally, I should mention another limitation you might find in my book in terms of vocabulary and usage. I recognize now that English words such as God and religion are far less universal or neutral than English speaking Hindus might realize. These words, though, remain as they are from the first edition to represent where my writing was at that time and to avoid too much digression. The second part of the book reflects that what I knew at that time about Hinduism. which was mostly what I felt and learned around my parents and our family guru, Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. It was also influenced quite deeply by the modern universalist Hinduism of Gandhi. Since then, I have come to learn that so many traditional modes of knowledge preservation and transmissions are also alive and well in India. And new efforts have been made to spread the knowledge of not just Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma, but also of what are being called Indian Knowledge Systems, IKS. Part 2 of the book remains as it was then a devotional essay rather than a scholarly exegesis on the Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, Itihas, and may be read with that spirit and caveat in mind. With that, pass you on. I pass you on to the hand that gives fearlessness to all. Okay, Nandi, would you be able to read this?
Let me just open up the screen.
Hmm.
ఇందరికి అభయాంబులు ఇచ్చు చేయి.
It is Telugu, correct? The Telugu.
Yeah, it's Telugu.
Do you know the okay?
Like
As
it.
Annamacharya sang, okay. Whether it feels like the hand of a father or Narasimha Swami did to Prahlad or that of a king as Rama did to Hanuman.
So it means
Jai Sri Ram.
with that I pass you on to the hand that gives fearlessness to all.
Thank you. Jai Sri Ram, Jai Hanuman, great as Srikakula Andhra Mahavishnu, golden luminous as Simhachala Narasimha, slow and steady as Sri Kurma, and fresh and young and yet ever life giving like Bala Tripura Sundari Amavaru. This temple is where, Nandi? Bala Tripura Sundari?
Bala Tripura Sundari, that I do not know. Let me just look it up.
May you be armed and rearmed in Sanatan Dharma. So this ends the introduction. It's a very good introduction. Actually, normally I do not read introductions, but this was something which was quite unique and it felt it had to be read. So this is the quote that we have put in the thumbnail. For a civilization, for a civilization is not just buildings, machines, but it's people, their thought, their culture. It is a way of knowing the world, in a way of giving meaning and value to the contents of life. And this is again the Narasimha, and the right hand is broken. Okay.
Interestingly, the legs were fixed later. It was lying around. It was done by the archaeological department later. The legs were fixed by that horizontal thing you can see. That was fixed later, the legs. Even legs were cut off.
Okay, so what I will do is I am going to now open the stream to the audience so people can come and join. It was really a wonderful reading. I hope that we will be reading this book a lot more. Okay, so now let me just do one thing. I have pinned the stream link so people can come join and share their views and opinions on this topic itself. So this is a very interesting topic, an interesting book that we are reading. Okay, Rishi, you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was thinking that maybe Juluri sir would be visiting Ahobalam, but I guess he didn't in that journey, which was described in the introduction. So yeah, it's okay. I was thinking he would be visiting that temple as well and speaking on that temple.
And again, the we read the very interesting and quite intriguing introduction where the author has poured his heart and soul into itself, that what it means to him. And actually I could feel the emotions from the words I was reading. I hope that I was able to transfer that emotions to you guys as well. So it's a very interesting and also very enthralling way to actually read when I was reading. So like I could go on for maybe
Also,
another 1 hour if.
also the deity in Narasimha is very, how you say, endearing to children, because even if the child was going through uh, in an abusive relationship with his father, like when he submitted himself to spirituality, that saved him. That is very endearing story for a child to hear since childhood, and it gives him a comfort and makes Narasimha, even even if the figure is a little scary, being the lion's head, but it's still endearing to children. That's the nature of Narasimha.
Yes, so I just remember one thing, which is actually interesting. See, in Western media, okay, on in Western circles, whether it's television, movies, serials, series, from time immemorial, where I was watching movies, watching media, the Hindu gods were something portrayed as evil and Satan. Okay, in
Mm,
books, movies, cinema, everywhere. The Harrison Ford franchise of Indiana Jones is a classic example of this, which
yeah.
actually a lot of people did. So, and just for the uninitiated, it may seem like, correct, it is scary, as you mentioned, that he looks a little bit scary. Okay, but because the Western people do not like know about it or read about it or understand, or though people don't tell them what it exactly means, that they do not get the understanding of itself.
So there is a word called Shraddha. Like even if you are hearing the story, and if
Hmm.
you don't humble yourself, or don't have Shraddha and listen to the story, you won't understand it, because you don't want to understand it, because you believe your deities are superior. That's not how spirituality works.
Yes, understood. So correct, and there is no like a similar word like Shraddha in any other language, like in
Mhm.
English or some other.
It would not mean the same thing. It's
Yeah, it will
non-translative.
not mean the same. Okay, so Abhay Agarwal has asked one question. What are your ideas to rearm Hinduism? Okay. So I think that answer will be lie in the book reading. Okay. But audience can actually share their opinion. So I think it will not be the right approach to actually let's read the book. Let's read the first chapter. We will reading it next week. Okay, and then let's grow our understanding. Let's grow our understanding of the author's view and perspective on rearming Hinduism through this book. And let's go on a journey together. As I will be reading it, the audience will be able to hear and read it as well. Says, let's go on a journey. Rather than having a preconceived notion, let's just keep it aside. What we think, what it really means. Let's read and then reassess and form our opinions by reading it through it, like a journey that we'll go through in the whole reading. So I'm going to read the full book itself. We'll finish this about in 4 weeks, if I can.
If possible, I would also suggest to Dada to invite the author to do a stream with
Yes,
us.
yes, yes, yes. So let's. I will be sending him an email or a tweet to him. And we will also have one more thing. So this Saturday we will have Vijit Pasanta sir to come, and he will be giving his perspective on this book and also his perspective on how to rearm Hinduism. So this Saturday, do join us at 9 p.m. 9 or 8:30 p.m. we will be coming. So that day will be discussing this book and another author's perspective on how rearming actually works. And in that way, I will request everybody to actually please like the stream, and also if you can, if you like our reading, if you like our content, do subscribe to our channel so that we can get more subscribers. With more subscribers, we will be able to actually invite more authors to our stream and give a better quality of programming to everyone. Okay, so we don't have a lot of questions. Okay, so if you have questions, comments, do let us know. Okay, okay, this is interesting. I am trying to understand the decipherment of Indus Valley's Indus script by Yajudevam, but it's too technical. Yes, I I think a trained linguist, will be able to actually better understand it.
I think there are some YouTube videos that he explains where it's easier to for you to understand than reading the paper. Like if you have the his teacher's paper on your side, and if you're watching the YouTube video
Yeah,
on the
there are
other hand,
actually
you think
multiple
compare,
videos.
yeah.
There are multiple videos, but still, I don't think it will be difficult for like people who are not trained or not learned language as a technical language learning. Okay, it will be difficult for them to actually grasp hold of it. Okay,
I mean, yeah, I've read the paper. It's more of a
mhm.
how you say it. It's more into cryptography because that's how he decides it. Yeah, so I think that's why it's very complicated.
Yes, because actually, see, what is cryptography? Okay, can you open the paper? Let's just do the paper itself. Let's see.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I'll send you the link of paper.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so
What is
Abhay is
it?
saying, I think we should try it before reading the book and then compare our thoughts on the book. Okay. Okay, I have a different opinion. My opinion is to not to have an opinion and experience it and then form an opinion. So that's how I. But you are liberty to go and buy the book and read it for yourself.
Uh,
Hmm.
uh, oh, yeah, Yajna Devam, right?
Yeah, 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 Yajan Devam. He has
So
given
his
multiple
real name
actually lectures.
is, it's been revealed. His name is Bharat Rao. Just trying to find
Anyway,
the, yeah.
yeah, yeah. In that moment, I will again share the screen. So this is the book that we are reading, the most amazing book and the most amazing intro that I have ever read. I must say, okay, I could not actually stop for a moment when I was reading. The way the author was able to actually transfer his emotions about the book to the words is something which is I haven't felt in long time.
Also,
So this is the
Dada,
book. Hmm.
like the author Juludi sir, even in videos, he's so like soothing in speaking. While he's speaking, he's very calm and collected, and even his writings like reflect that emotion as well. So it is very, very amazing. What a what a sense. What can I say? Nothing. I don't. I have nothing more to say actually.
Yes,
I sent,
sometimes
I sent the research
we,
paper on Telegram that I can check it.
yeah. You need to send me on here on the private chat.
Okay, I can't send the file. I'll send you the link. You can download it
Yeah,
from
yeah,
there.
yeah. Yeah, give me the link. Give me the link. I will open it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let me copy it. So
So
let's.
I also think it's Telugu language that it's so musical when he like when you talk in it. I think it translates to English also as well when Telugu speakers talk in English.
Hmm. It's downloading. Yeah. Let me open this in Chrome. Okay. So here is the paper that Abhay is talking about. Actually, the reading that we have done, so we don't have a lot of questions from the, because I think it's a little bit emotional for also the people, the way the author has wrote a lot of things. So we will try to do is we will just take the, so I think we all are actually interested in this specific great discovery of deciphering in the script. So this is, let me just make it okay. Article, cryptanalytic. Okay, a cryptanalytic decipherment of in the script. Yajna Devan.
Wait,
Article.
has he written his own name in Indus Valley script?
Maybe I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 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 So Abhay, how much you have read of this? It's 99 pages. Okay. So we need to do a separate stream for this if you want to read and find out what has happened. Okay. Okay. But let's see. I think there is. Let's see if we could. Okay. Okay. Like language, long inscriptions with their scriptural references, sign variants, and conjugates. Okay. This is interesting. Let's do this. Signs, variants, and conjugates. Variants are stylish and abstracted evolution of okay. Variants are stylistic and abstracted evolution of symbols. Conjugate signs. I need to. Hmm. Conjunct signs combine two or more signs and are read as adjacent signs. Okay, so Abhay, see, right now the language that we have, correct? So we associate a word with a emotion. Okay, so I am writing sad. Okay, the sad word is linked to emotion. Okay, of feeling not very good. But in the proto languages, the older languages, so for like for a tree, for a mango tree, they will have a sign. So that sign would represent the mango tree itself. Okay. So as the other methods, more signs, okay, as adjacent signs. Firstly, in the direction of writing. Secondly, top to bottom, and lastly, the base character followed by okay, okay, leered characters. Okay, ligated symbols that are simply touching but otherwise written in normal size and positions are read as normal. For example, okay, this is simply read as this, this, and this. Symbols arranged vertically are read from top to bottom. This is read as this, this, re, as opposed to this, which is read as what is this? Rhythm, what is this pronounced as?
Yes, Dada. Which one? Ir.
Yeah,
Ir.
yeah, era, na? Okay, fine.
Uh-huh. Ir.
So that's what. So correct. It's that the symbol represents a certain kind of actually like every symbol, like correct, you in Japan. In Japan, you have 3,500 or 4,000 characters, which represent a certain kind of animal or a tree or a food or something. So deciphering is a very complicated process for this.
Yes, and
The
also,
big.
Dada, can we say that these,
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Rishi, go ahead.
yeah, like you were, when you were speaking, the sound wasn't coming, so I was thinking what happened.
No, 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 no. Go ahead, go ahead,
Just,
go ahead.
oh, acha, okay. No, I was thinking these symbols, though they may represent some sort of trees and all of those things, but
Hmm.
um, these are also representative of letters, even, na? Like we are seeing right now that he has transposed it with the Devanagari script as well, right now.
Uh,
It looks like a bird's leg, that E, uh, Dirgha E, that right now, over here at least.
yeah, yeah, I understand. But see, I am telling from my experience. I might be totally wrong. Okay, so don't take my word. What I
No, no,
understand, correct?
yes, yes,
The cuneiform script, correct? The cuneiform or the symbol-based script. Okay,
yes,
where
yes.
the picture, the symbol of a lion represents the real living animal, lion. Correct.
Oh, yeah, yeah, sure, sure, sure. Yes.
So this in the script is a symbol based script where they use
Mm-hmm.
symbols to actually represent like a kind of represent how the lion looks like, or the how the human looks like, or the how the woman look, looks like. Then that symbol they would use I don't know how they pronounce it. Okay, but they would then again they will use a specific emotion or a word to attach that symbol. Attach, maybe like
Yes,
correct,
yes.
the lion would roar. Okay, so they would use the
Mm-hmm.
roar of the lion as the emotion or the like pronouncing that specific symbol. So
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know, like I am just talking out of my own common sense. Okay,
Uh-huh,
so how
uh-huh.
they pronounce it,
True.
how they pronounce that symbol is something that we will never know. We can decipher
Mm-hmm.
the meaning of it, but how the language was spoken, we will never know because we don't know.
True, true. We can only
Okay.
guess, we can approximately guess, I guess, that, okay,
Yeah,
so lions
actually,
roar.
you can by actually doing extrapolation. So, like, correct, you have Sanskrit words, correct? The Sanskrit word, the root
Mm-hmm.
word, and now you have the word being evolved into this one Sanskrit word called, correct, the word hand. Okay, hand means, and
Yes.
the word is hand in English, heart in Hindi, Hund
Mm-hmm.
in German. Okay, so the
Mm.
same word has evolved over time. So so the traces of Indus Valley script and the spoken word may have actually evolved over time and become something else. So there would be traces of Indus Valley civilization script, the language into our own languages, because
True.
no language is Puritan. It is an amalgamation of many cultures and words which come into from each other, and they borrow from each other.
Yeah,
So
also, yeah, true. And also, some languages are like constructed, even like they go through many processes, like meticulous logical reasonings and so on and so forth. I'm reminded of Sanskrit itself. Like the traditions have gone so deep into analyzing what sort of word, like it is appropriate to use, the rules and the regulations which have been derived. The meticulousness is just like um, mind-boggling, if I have to say so. Yeah, true.
yes, so and the unique thing about Indian languages is that the same word have different meanings, and in so many ways. So and it confuses people in so many ways. So and there are little bit of changes in the way they are pronounced, correct? So Anna is bhai, okay, and Anna is food, okay.
Uh-huh.
So so the between brother and food, you have only a small changes in the way you pronounce it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Shiva
So
is Mahadev. Shiva is Ma Durga, like that. Hmm.
yes, so that's what happens. So we will see. We will
Hmm.
try to read this paper sometime. I need to go through and maybe take some notes of it. Okay.
Yeah,
Then we will try
I'm
to
also current.
read.
Yeah, Dada, I'm also currently studying cryptography, like independently. So I would be able to contribute even in this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Please go through it. I will also try to learn something about it. Okay, and then we will try to read about it, and also read some papers as well. Because I think if you're learning cryptography, then reading this might be a fun way of learning a bit more about it. Okay, so today's our reading is over, so we don't see a lot of questions from the audience. Uh, so we will be saying goodbye and good night to everyone in few minutes. Okay.
Yes.
Again, let me just check one more thing.
It is
So before
amazing to
we,
note another thing.
yeah, tell me, Rishi.
Yeah, yeah. You have noticed this, right, Dada, that Andhra Pradesh is like brimming with Narasimha temples, Narasimha Swami temples. Like, it's just so common over there. In
Yes,
Eastern
see,
India, like Ma Kali is so common. Over there, it's Narasimha. Like wherever there is Narasimha, everywhere.
yeah, actually, see, the Andhra Empire was actually extended to even to Karnataka as well. Even so, Hampi is in Karnataka today, but it was part of like so. So this Vijayanagar Empire, which is the author is talking about. Okay, the Vijayanagar
Hmm.
Empire actually spawned like it spread across what we now see Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, mm, Andhra,
True, true.
Telangana.
Mm-hmm.
So
And the and I've heard that the kings also, like Vijayanagara monarchs, were like some of them were Kannadigas and some of were Telugus even. So even that
yeah, yeah,
also,
yeah.
like,
Yes, actually, like see, that is something which is a kind of political divide which is created recently. Okay.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, like not even 30, 40 years ago, there would be like the Telugu singer or the Telugu actor would be working in Tamil cinema, in Kannada cinema, in Malayalam cinema. They would be working together. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
True.
they would actually help each other. Okay. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was no division as such. Okay, he's an actor who's a Telugu speaking, so he will be only doing the Telugu films. That's not the case. So right now it has been like this because of political divide, but it wasn't
Yeah.
something like there was like a greater unity among
Mm.
people who spoke southern languages. This
True. And
language
and And Dada, do you see that? Do you see this something curious connection also? Like with the decline of Hindu consciousness, all these sort of divisive things come up, like caste or these things like language-based divisions, also like exasperate too much, right, Dada? I've seen this always coming up.
Yeah, so correct. So if you correct, if you know that Bhavishya Puran, so correct, it predicts that in Satyug you had dharma as the highest form it's ever been. So now we are in the stage of Kali Yuga, okay, and Kali Yuga is about to end, and next stage will begin. So the asur pravritti, okay, and the dharmic pravritti. So that will be actually, so in the Kali Yuga you will have more people following their asur pravritti rather than their dharmic pravritti. So you will have people who would be fighting over language, caste, creed, religion, money, material things. You are seeing the wars are taking place. People are doing a lot of harm to each other. So that is part of the predictions of Bhavishya Puran. So don't be surprised how things are happening because it is already being foretold in the Bhavishya Puran long ago. Yes, it doesn't mean
True,
that
true.
we would sit quiet and not do something about it.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
who still who have their dharmic pravritti with us, or who are willing to actually practice the dharmic pravritti, we should practice them and preach them. even to people who are willing to indulge in their uh, adharmic pravritti, indulgence
Yes,
in so many vices.
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so with this, we will end our stream today. So hopefully, the audience in the chat, the guests, liked our reading today. So we will be having two special shows this weekend to everybody who's listening to this. So we will have Dr. Bijit Prasanta, who would be sharing his views, thoughts on this concept of rearming Hinduism and what it means to him, and also about the book that we are reading. And on Sunday, we will be having a special program with Mr. Deep Haldar and Abhishek Biswas, who wrote the famous book Hindus of Bangladesh. So they have published a Bengali translation of this. So we will be discussing both the translations and also the book, and the context would be the current crisis in Bangladesh and how it really happened. Okay, so I would request everybody to join us this Saturday and Sunday for the special streams that we will be having. And thank you everyone for joining. Thank you audience. Thank you in the chat. Thank you guests Rishi and Nandi. Thank you. Jai Shri Ram. Vande Mataram.
Thank you, Dada. Jai Shri Ram, Vande Mataram.